Investment model. Describe and evaluate Rossbill's investment model of romantic relationship, 16 marks. Rossbill Hall, in an extension of the social exchange theory, suggested that commitment and investment are both more important than satisfaction in determining the likelihood of a successful relationship. The three factors which determine the level of commitment shown within a relationship are satisfaction levels, comparison of alternatives, and investment size. He argues that satisfaction occurs when each partner sees large profits, i.e., reward costs, and there are fewer plausible or profitable alternatives which they can invest their resources. Comparison levels play a major part in this. If one partner feels that their profits are decreasing, such as though costs increasing throughout the course of the relationship, for example, discovering that the partner is untidy, then they shall start looking for alternatives or consider being single. However, there are many couples who have small profits but remain together because they have made large investments in the relationship. This refers to the loss of tangible, which are intrinsic, or intangible, which are extrinsic resources at the end of the relationship. Therefore, the two types of investments are intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic investments describe resources which are added to the relationship both at the beginning and throughout, so money, time, and energy. However, extrinsic investments describe resources which have come about as a result of the relationship, for example, a shared mortgage or children. The size of investment dictates how hard each partner works to salvage their relationships and thus demonstrate their commitment. From an economic point of view, this commitment is almost selfish in that it is carried out purely not to lose the investment. Rossbell suggested that there are mechanisms which facilitate commitment: ridiculing alternatives, positive illusions, forgiveness, willingness to sacrifice, and accommodation. AO3 evaluation. Supportive evidence comes from a meta-analysis by Lee and Andrew. They reviewed 52 studies from the late 1970s to 1999, which introduced some 11,000 participants from 5 countries. They found that satisfaction, comparison with alternatives, and investment size all predicted relationship commitment. Relationships where there was the greatest commitment were the most stable and long-lasting. An incredibly supportive finding was that these outcomes are true for both men and women across all cultures, and also for both homosexual and heterosexual couples. This suggests that all three factors are influential in the maintenance of relationships, and thus strengthens the validity and support for the investment model. A methodological weakness with this study is that it was a meta-analysis. By using this secondary source of data, research risks being prone to inaccuracies and also researcher bias. The research conducted many years ago by other researchers may serve slightly different purposes than those intended by Lee and Andrew. Due to the fact that we cannot generalize the research because of its methodological issues, it reduces the validity of the meta-analysis for the investment model. Research in the investment model can be applied to real life. For example, the theory can help to understand why abused women stay with their partner. The theory proposes that abuse victims may stay in abusive relationships because of fear of losing their high investments. These victims may fear losing their extrinsic investments such as financial security. The model recognizes that an abuse victim doesn't have to be satisfied with a relationship stay in it. This has implications in that it can help the government or support groups to offer best alternatives for these women.